the in college football, both Washington and Oregon are forced to be put on ice as Notre Dame is mulling over the decision to move to the Big Ten. That would, if you watch our last video where we said USC and UCLA, excuse me, that they are planning to make the move in 2024, and Notre Dame might be making the move, that would lead to 17 teams. So how does this work? Well, what would have to happen is I think you have to go more pro style. Say, okay, let's create some divisions. Even if it's 5 in one division and 4 in another. Let's create some divisions, and let's put some teams. And then the best records, when we have like a wild card, and who those guys get in, and then we have a playoffs kind of thing. Same thing like the NFL. That's where it's going. But it's interesting that they're making Washington and Oregon wait for the Notre Dame decision. Alright, so there's a lot going on and some bad trade ideas. One of the ones I saw yesterday was proposed by SB Nation that the Cowboys should trade Ezekiel Elliott. And to me, that's just not wise at all. Like, Ezekiel Elliott, as much as you want to say that Zeke isn't good anymore, which I disagree with, is he that league-leading rusher? Maybe not anymore. But he's still really productive. And before he got hurt, and people forget this, before he got hurt, he looked really good. He looked healthy, he looked fast, he was breaking through people, which he hadn't done in a couple of years, and then he got hurt. And I think that's what only people remember. But I just don't think it's wise. Wait till next year. If you're that confident, wait till next year. But again, I don't agree with what Mike Florio said a couple weeks ago, which he said this was the last year for Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas. I just don't agree with that. They left the door open for that, but Tony Pollard's up this coming year. He's up. This is the last year on his contract. He's up. Zeke, this is his biggest cap hit year, so you can't really afford to come this year. Next year you can. So you come to a decision. Do we sign Tony Pollard and say goodbye to Zeke? Do we keep Zeke and say goodbye to Tony Pollard? Or do we pay Tony Pollard and keep Zeke? There's 3 solutions to this thing. But there's only one thing that you probably should be thinking about. It's not this year. Wait. Relax. If Pollard's willing to come back cheaply, okay. That's a different conversation. But if I'm the Cowboys, I'm confident. Right now, Zeke's our guy. We're not trading him. We're not cutting him. We're going to ride with him, and we're going to see what happens next year. Another one I saw was Dalton Schultz, which doesn't make any sense at all. Now, the report is that Schultz and the Cowboys won't come to a long-term deal, and I think that's accurate. They just won't. They probably franchise tag him maybe again next year, and then say goodbye to him. But if I'm the Cowboys, I don't trade Schultz, and then people are saying, well, trade him for a 4th. First off, you can't even do that. You can't physically do that. If you franchise tag somebody, and then you trade him, that means you are trading a franchise tag player. You get a 1st round pick, according to NFL rules. But also, a 4th round pick, I would not be trading my star tight end for a 4th. That's just not what I'm doing. And finally, Trayvon Diggs. This one's dumb. He's your best corner. He's young. So your whole idea is to trade your best corner and your youngest corner to get even more younger, it doesn't make any sense. He's only 23. He's 23 years old. There's no reason for that. Pump the brakes, and you can say, yes, he almost gave up 1,000 yards. He had 11 interceptions. Xavier Howard had a similar amount of yards when he had 11 interceptions, and we said he was one of the great players for this time frame. Let's pump the brakes. It's the same thing. Let's hold off. If Diggs has another good year, he won't get thrown to as much. But if he has a good year, maybe about 5 or 6 interceptions, people are going to take notice. Because he was not even on the 25 under 25 list, which was ridiculous. You put A.J. Terrell over Trayvon Diggs. I mean, I'm going to ask it, what are you smoking? What are you smoking? Because that is not right at all. Some more trade, mostly in retrospect, Sean McVay was talking about how he wished he handled the Goff Stafford trade differently. As many know, Goff was not told by Sean McVay that he was traded. He found out later. Now, Goff has not said anything bad about the Rams publicly, maybe privately, but he hasn't said bad publicly. He hasn't talked about Sean McVay bad in public. I think Sean McVay said I could have done it better, but it happened so fast. And finally, DJ Moore said he sees some growth in Sam Darnold. I just don't know. I don't think that's accurate. I think Sam Darnold is he's a bridging quarterback at this point. And finally, should the Browns apologize to Baker Mayfield? If Deshaun Watson does not play this year, they should. They should either way, but I think the way they apologize, if Deshaun is going to play, you trade Baker. Because at this point, why are you even keeping him around if he's not going to even start? You're going to pay him $18 million to sit on the bench. Either trade him or say, hey, we need you to start. Maybe he'll grow up. Maybe he won't. But you at least got to apologize to him and say, no, we won't want you here. We'll trade you to Seattle. We'll trade you to Carolina, wherever. But we're going to let you go. Because it's not worth us paying $18 million and you sit on the bench. Or sit behind Jacoby Brissett. That's just me. That's just my opinion. But if I'm the Browns, trade Baker Mayfield wherever he goes. Just give him a chance. You definitely don't want him there. Either let Jacoby Brissett take over until Deshaun Watson's back, or maybe Deshaun plays the whole season. But either way, trade Baker Mayfield.